Hello.
Hey Mark, what's up, my man?
Sporting the COVID beard.
Of course, the caveman beard.
COVID, COVID growth.
Yeah, it's. I was just thinking right now while I was waiting, because you can stare at yourself in a video, and
Yeah,
it's like, what if Geico commercial decided to bring the caveman campaign back again? They're
that
gonna
would be good.
2 million cavemen ready to audition, like
Yeah,
right
there'd
now.
be that'd be smart actually. There's got to be some marketing company that's like gonna pull something off. That's gonna
Yeah,
be really good.
all the cavemen in the world unite.
Yeah,
How
it
you
is.
doing? Busy with the two kids?
Yeah, two kids, and I was able to go to Holland last week. I was there for 5 days and met the team and like started individual meetings and all that. It was really cool. And then my wife's here with the 20. She was stayed back with the 21-month-old and the 3-month-old. So she was
So wait, so
first time
you were
around.
able to fly in from here, there, and come back without being quarantined in either place?
Yeah,
That's pretty lucky.
I have a visa. I have a residency visa for Holland.
Ah, that's what
So
they do. They give you that one, so that means you can.
it's like
Okay,
I'm going home. It's like
yeah,
I'm going home.
it's good. That's very, very
Yeah,
good. Yeah,
it
we'll
worked
get to
out.
that. We'll get to that topic in our conversation. But
Yeah,
okay, first of all, thanks for joining me, Mark. I'm
yeah,
gonna explain you what this is all about. Straight Handball Talk is a conversation between two people that know each other for a while. Either we're teammates, competitors, partners, or just passionate handball dreamers.
sure.
Um, Ultimately, we are forever connected because of the sport of we play, the Olympic sport of handball. And for most of us in United States, it is the ultimate reward we get from the sport because, as you know, very few get an opportunity like you have now to make a living out of it, at least for certain times. So, uh, explaining this, I think the best part is to, and you are the perfect example how our personal relationship, began on that court of year 2007 in Delaware, and developed and grew up to this day. Do you
Yeah.
remember that year, the Nationals in Delaware, 2007?
Oh man, I don't remember the Nationals in 2007. Like they all sort of start going together. They link together year after year after year, and I don't remember which part it was or where we met on the court. It's
I'll remind you, but
okay.
that's the first year I got to play against you, and you were that sensational story that Christian Zaharia was pushing out there, and like talking about this young guy. We're sending him to Spain, and he was a special one, and all the fun stories at that time. So it was my first year where I decided to quit playing tennis and focus on handball as my only sport on the recreational level by it.
Yeah.
So you were playing for Miami, and I remember when we played against you guys, you had a bunch of Cubans in your team.
Yeah, that's right.
Obviously, you had a great coach. You had a great goalie, and because people were talking so much about you, we were like, okay, I know you're still playing against New York City, and we said, okay, let's take this guy out. So I remember we focused on you, and we gave you 3 times 2 minutes. By beginning of second half, you were out of the game. You don't
That's
remember this?
yes. We actually flew in a player from Cuba who the first game, or no, we didn't fly him, and he was living in the States, but he came and wasn't practicing with us, and he was like 6'7" and the former Cuban left back,
Yeah.
and he broke his foot the first game, and then I remember playing, and I was like, oh, I got to go to work, and then I end up going all out, and then I get a stupid red card, a stupid third 2-minute penalty, and Christian almost chopped my head off
Yeah.
after that. Yeah, that was a rough tournament for us. We had high expectations coming into that, and sort of the balloon popped.
Yeah, no, I remember it. I mean, it's I have it somewhere, that game or the last two games, somewhere in a disc, which I need to
Oh,
figure it out where it is. But
that would
the
be good to see.
yeah, the point is, I mean, that was 2007, and 12 years after that, in 2019, first you and I competed against each other in Lake Placid for a spot to Super Globe. But after that, um, I mean, obviously we won the right to qualify for the Super
Yeah,
Globe, but
sure.
after that, you became a part of our team, and you were a huge piece of us getting that partnership or training with Montpellier Handball Club. So tell me about your side of the story, the Lake Placid competition that we had, fighting for that spot, historic spot, and then you joining us as a coach.
Well, um, I was coaching against you, obviously, with LA, and we were all in the same mind of, hey, we were gonna win this, and we're gonna go to Super Globe, you know. So LA comes, we meet in Lake Placid, and it was the first time for a lot of the guys there. And it's a great experience. Sometimes you get there and you're just overwhelmed by like the whole Olympic movement and Olympic spirit of Lake Placid. So um, it was unfortunate for LA, but great for New York. And of course, you're always friends off the court. You're friends off the court after you play. And we continued our relationship, and I was able to come and help New York with the Super Globe, with the stat with part of the stat as part of the staff. So the Super Globe experience was great. And while all this was going on, my coaching career was developing throughout Europe, and I had gotten a job with Montpellier to work with their youth academy. So that's basically 21 years old and younger. And I was there for 2 or 3 months and developed some good relationships. And this is at the time a few months before the Super Globe as well. So I reached out to you about setting up some training camp for New York in Montpellier. And one thing led to another, and the relationship developed between New York and Montpellier. And the next thing you know, we're playing against the first league and highest division in France in Montpellier, and I was there. So my my visa and my family's living arrangements didn't work out in Montpellier, so I ended up having to leave the club because of just for those issues. You got to make sure your whole family's taken care of as
Of
far as living
course.
and that situation. So
But yeah, I mean, I think it's things can happen pretty quickly in this small world of handball, and from coaching in Lake Placid to coaching Montpellier and then coaching in Super Globe, I think that's a fast trajectory. But let's go back to Lake Placid. I think you guys came in and brought obviously the two Brazilian guys. You had Drew, highly motivated, and that game, man. I mean, I remember Anderson, which we've never seen before. The only thing I've received, the only tip I've heard is, well, from Benjamin Brief. He said, "Oh, there's this guy I played outdoors with. He's going to play for LA. You know, he's played before in Brazil, but he's retired." And then the moment he said that, I was like, "Yeah, you got nothing to worry about. Anyone who's retired, I don't worry about it anymore, especially in these circumstances, the way we play." But then that game begins. I mean, the guy didn't miss a single shot. It was like, what the hell was going on? I mean, how did you feel as a coach having something like that?
the thing about it is, all week he was sort of, because we had a training, we did some training at West Point for 3 or 4 days before, and he wasn't playing very hard, but Jill, our other backcourt, who was from Brazil, had said, hey, don't worry, when the game starts, it's a whole nother thing. So Anderson didn't go very hard all week, and sure enough, when the game starts, the next thing you know, it's pop, 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 and we're up by a few goals, and it's like, wow, this guy really woke up. And we had a good week of training, so the whole situation was good, and we thought, oh, this. Anyway, as the game progressed, things turned, and it was a good game.
Yeah,
So
yeah, it was a surprise. At some point, we were joking around. It's like, oh, this guy took 8 shots, scored 12 goals. So because we just couldn't figure out how the hell was he scoring all those goals. But yeah, we did the little man-to-man thing, and that helped us a lot, get him out of his rhythm. But yeah, I mean, it was a interesting game. Could have gone either way at some point, but you know, luckily we won. Um, so
I I think as far as with the history that what New York has accomplished and what you're doing in New York, I think it was meant to be in that situation, and it showed. And you guys also defeated Canada in the next game, a team from Canada in the next
Yeah.
game, and so you definitely earned it. It wasn't luck; it's something that you go off and earn.
Yeah. You know, the whole weekend, I was sure about everything but the winning part of it, because both games were just so weird. I mean,
Yeah.
both games were just so close. But anyways, I mean that's past. But then we go to Montpellier and we start training with the younger guys. And what do you think? The first game, we kind of, even though we were dead tired, we did pretty okay against them. What were your hopes at that time, seeing our guys
What,
at average age was 35.5?
what was your hopes? Um, Remember, we played their first league team, um, the pro team first
Yeah,
in a controlled scrimmage. And I went, and there wasn't as much running, obviously,
yeah,
because we concentrated on, if you score, you stay. Excuse
yeah,
me, you stay, and then if there's a counter, you run the counter. So I remember looking at the score, because they were keeping score in a different way, and we had lost most of the way they scored, but we did win like one or two, and there was like 8 different sections.
yeah.
And I remember thinking, all right, that's, to get one or two even in a friendly scrimmage against this, it's big for our club. And of course, nobody really understands how amateur the clubs are in the United States, and how everybody works like 9 hours a day, 10 hours a day, and then if they can go to handball training 2 times a week, that's a victory.
Yeah.
And to get everybody there, that's another victory.
Yeah.
And if you can get guys to actually do some physical training on their own, or some lifting on their own,
Oh,
that's
that's like
you're
lottery.
like, yeah, that's like you're golden.
Yeah.
So I knew coming to play the friendly matches versus their youth team, who I was just watching them train and working with them for the last month or two. They were going to run us to death. I knew it. Like, they were just going to run back and forth, and you know you can't compare somebody who doesn't run to kids that are running back and forth. So it showed, and I wasn't expecting some great victory. I was expecting us to actually get in more shape as we run, so when the Super Globe come, hopefully we could last a little bit longer and get a little bit more depth on our bench, and
Yeah.
people get more opportunities.
Yeah, that was a good experience. I mean, I obviously the first game we enjoyed because they're still kids, right? And they're great technical and talented. And the first game they had no idea who we are, so it was pretty close. And they didn't push that gear of running when they realized how hard it is for us to come back for 60 minutes. And the other games where they picked it up, I was like, God damn it, this is not fair. I mean, but that they exhausted us. I mean, I think they really showed to me the difference. And I was just thinking, imagine in Saudi Arabia with the other teams, just grown men who can do exactly the same thing. So
Exactly. But it showed when we got to Saudi Arabia. I don't know if you wanted to get into that yet, but
mhm.
we can talk about Saudi Arabia in a minute. But um, it showed when we got to Saudi Arabia. The first game, I don't think. Do you want me to start on this, or would you
Yeah,
like
yeah, go
to?
ahead. That would be my follow-up question.
Okay. So the first game, I think there was a lot of pressure on us from the get-go, as far as what our mindset was, because we looked at the schedule and we said, well, if we looked at all these teams, this is the team we should beat.
Yeah,
So I think we all just put that mindset that this is our only chance of victory, and we we didn't perform. We didn't come through, and after that game, we all shrugged it off like, hey, let's moving on and let's
yeah,
go. And then you see how we played the next few games, and how our defense played, and how our mindset changed, that we approach the game, and it showed. And it's too bad that with our first game, it left a bad taste in everybody's mouth, um, that maybe people didn't see the rest of our games
yeah.
during the Super Globe. and saw the difference in how in our level of play and how we completely look like two different teams from the first game to the second and third game. So which is great. I think because of our improvement throughout that tournament, it showed because we didn't finish last. We finished
Yeah.
ninth,
Yeah.
out of 10. So to go to a Super Globe where no North American team has ever been before, and that means we have a goal for next time at the Super Globe is get higher. Let's focus on the one game and not put so much pressure on ourselves that you got to win what game you think you're going to win, just to go there and perform and do what your club is capable of doing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that the first game pressure we put on ourselves, expectations, and forgetting that in fact it is a different world out there, and people don't forgive mistakes,
Yep.
especially any of those teams at that caliber. So there is no a second chance if the other team takes a momentum, and that's what we didn't do the first game. When we lost the momentum, we lost everything. But in the other
Yeah.
games, it was I loved. I mean, thinking about we're playing against Asian champions, African champions, and we gave them a fight, and that was, I guess, something to be proud of. And hopefully next time someone else will take them even further.
Truth is, we were in a position. We put ourselves in a position to win one game, and maybe not playing together. There's a million excuses you can
Yeah,
make for not coming through, but that's what you can hope for as a coach, that you put your team in a position to fight to win a game or fight to win the game that you're playing, at the end, that you can come through, and that's how teams learn to be victorious, is through close games and coming together and those kind of things. So
yeah,
yeah, I was really happy with how everything progressed from the time in Montpellier to all the way to the close of the Super Globe and going four wheeling in the desert. It
yeah.
was a lot of it was a
That's
great time.
yeah, that's a good way to end it. I want to
Yeah,
do that again just for that
yeah,
reason.
yeah.
So
That was really good.
now I'm going to officially congratulate you on your new job. I believe this you're the first American-born coach to have an official position with a foreign pro team. You got the head coaching job for the ladies from HV KRAS Volendam.
Yeah, Volendam. Yeah,
What town are they based?
it's in Volendam. Volendam's the name of the
Oh,
town,
that's the
and
name of the town.
it's 20 kilometers, 25 kilometers from Amsterdam.
Okay.
So it's I don't want to say it's in Amsterdam, but it's right there, and it's a really famous fishing town, and there's so much history within the town. And if you look at the map, you're gonna see Volendam, and you're gonna see like a bunch of farmland around it, and
Hmm.
then there's the all the where all the boats, and I think it's called wharf. But the town can't get any bigger, so all the land and all the houses in there, the value of it is just astronomical. And then the club itself, the handball club, and there's a football club there that are just have a lot of history. A lot of former national team players have gone through there and through Volendam, and it's really a great community and a great place to move
Yeah,
as far
that's
as with family and
fantastic.
everything.
Tell me, how did that happen?
Well, I was Montpellier. I was there, and I was closing up that opportunity there with trying to get a visa and everything. And there was a program called FCH or uh, FHC, sorry, Forum Handball Club,
Yeah.
and they're sort of a program that's designed to help with U.S. players. And I was one of the coaches hey, I'd like help and things like that. So they they made a contact through there because we had Ty Reed had gone there. One of our players had gone there for a tryout, and it didn't work out. He ended up going to
Lansville.
Flensburg and playing their second team. So they reached out to Volendam and they said, "Yeah, we'll meet him. We'll have a chance." So I drove there. Flew my wife back to the States and with the kids. We had one baby at the time,
Yeah.
and I drove from Montpellier to Volendam, and I went there and interviewed, and I talked with the club general manager, which is Joost Ooms, and I talked with the president Pete, and we just talked for an hour, 2 hours, of just about everything, handball and this and that. And by the time, within like, because I drove there thinking, hey, I got to go get on a flight ticket. I had an open-ended flight that I
Yeah.
could go there for a meeting and go back home, or I could, change it and stay. So I literally, after 2 hours, 2.5 hours of sitting there talking with them, we got in the car and I was like, well, should I bring my bag and you can drop me off at the airport after this next meeting, or do you want me to stay for a couple more days? And they were like, stay for a couple more days. So I stayed,
Hmm.
and we talked, and one thing led to the next, and they knew they wanted me. They wanted me to be a part of the club for sure,
Yeah.
but they weren't sure how, because it was sort of a surprise for them as how the situation turned out.
Yeah.
They didn't know what position or where I would be, So I ended up doing a practice training while I was there with the second team of KRAS Volendam. And the thing about the men's league in the Netherlands is there's KRAS Volendam has two teams in the first men's league. Okay,
Okay.
so if you're in the top five of the Netherlands league, then you're what you call put in the Bene league, and that's between uh, Brussels, or no, Belgium and the Netherlands. The top five from each league go in a super league.
The Benelux countries.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. And those 10 or 12 teams end up playing each other in the
The
top.
playoffs.
Yeah, well, it's just they're in that league, the
Okay.
Bene league. And so, but still, Volendam had another team that was still in the top league in the Netherlands that was um, just playing with all the other top teams in the Netherlands. So
Okay.
the option to coach one of the men's teams was there, and the option to coach, they weren't sure about the women's league and what was happening there. So as things developed over the course of 6 months, and they ended up going in another direction with the men's team coach, and they asked me, hey, are you interested in this? And since the Netherlands national team had just won,
Yeah.
as the top team in the world, I thought coaching the women's league in the Netherlands would be a great stepping stone for well, not even a stepping stone, just a great place for me as a coach to develop, and with the club and how many teams they have and how much attention they put into handball and the community. It was
Yeah.
it was a great place to be.
I think it's a great opportunity for you to do something big. Now, all you just have to do is succeed. That's simple.
Yes, it's
Wh- wh-
simple. It's so
Yeah,
simple.
yeah. It's like that's it. You got the job.
Yeah,
Now just make them the champions. 1, 2, 3,
yeah.
done. So
You gotta
what
you
are your
never start
goals?
you never start something unless you have the end in mind. So
Yeah.
yes, I have the end in mind.
So
You know, you
what are your goals? What are the goals of the team for the season?
um well, okay, so I can tell you our goal right now is Volendam has had a quick rise. They went from maybe the fourth, the third, to the second, to the highest league, and it was the first time they were in the highest league last season.
Mhm.
So the goal is continue to have the mindset of Volendam continue to be in the highest league for a lot of years,
Okay.
and then of course fight to win, to be in the top. All right. My personal goal that I set with the team was that the people of Volendam, of this community, are considered to be like really hardworking people. Like very just get it done, and
Mm.
they're very successful. If you go into this town, you would see just like how, like, it looks like a postcard, how picturesque and how beautiful it is. So my goal for the team would to be have would is to have that same hardworking mentality on the court, and lead to the mindset of having a winning mindset, successful. So we got to get that mindset of hardworking Volendam, the way the people are in Volendam.
But do you obviously the city has a lot of strength. Do you have enough good players in your team to do that?
We have a lot of we actually have a lot of good players. We just picked up a couple of youth national or junior national team players from the Netherlands. a goalie and a right back, and then we have some strong players that we had last season, and we're actually still refining because I just got this job in the last, like, approved for the women's team in the last month and a half. Now I'm trying to find a couple more pieces to the puzzle.
Great. Well,
So
good luck with that. I think
yeah,
looking forward to see what you're going to do with it. All right, now let's jump back to jump to Team USA. You've been you are the assistant coach for a while now, and
yeah.
you worked under Javier Cuesta's wing initially until he retired, and now with Robert Hedden. So two completely different schools of handball, different approaches, at least in my opinion. So it's been and it is a great opportunity to learn from these two. But which style do you prefer more? Is it Javier's, more of a wild uh, spread style, or Robert's, who is a more simple, disciplined, um, very controlled?
Okay. This is actually a pretty easy question because the styles and it's from two different sort of backgrounds. Um, Working with Javier, we were in a residency program, so a lot of things were based on what we could do and who we could bring into the residency program and develop into our program. And looking back at the residency program in Auburn, it's just hard to bring in athletes into that program. It was difficult for them to stay longer than 6 months or a year to find that niche of a life they wanted to be a part of in Auburn. The people that had the most success came in and they ended up going to school and getting degrees, and that was bigger than handball. So
Yeah.
Auburn was great in that aspect, and it was a good situation. Javier had a couple different philosophies as Robert, where Javier wouldn't let players pay anything. Like there was just no, like, we're not going to ask players for money. So if we need to go to a competition, I'd rather not. It would rather not go than have the players pay money.
Yeah.
Okay. So Robert's philosophy, as far as, and if you're talking about styles of handball, I I learned, like, I got a lot more chance to see Javier in practice over 5 years of developing a program and putting in a system and things like that. Where now, as our national team is sort of not, we don't have a residency program, and it's right now it's important to have that direct handball, that direct philosophy, because you don't have 4 years in a training camp to put in refine a lot of small things, but you can do a lot of direct actions, long cross, empty crosses, and put
Yeah.
in basic rules and attacking right away on a counter attack. And these philosophies you can put in right away in a 1 week training camp and say, this is our style of play. We're going to play fast and we're going to come to look to score right away. So um, that's why the question's so easy to answer. It's two different types of putting in the philosophies, and I think they both had to do what they had to do for what we had. And right now we have a lot of dual citizens and players in Europe, and a lot of American players that are trying to get to Europe. And we have a lot of players in the US that have been a part of the program for a long time. And I also see a lot of players that would like to be a part of the US pool, so there's a lot of things, a lot of places he has to look for players, and it's important that we try to see them all.
Yeah, but I don't know if you answered my question, but the the point is, if US builds a style, because obviously every national team has a coach that builds a style of play. I mean, US in the past had to build a certain style, use what
Sure.
you've got, and if you have young people, and you can just make them play high up and just run around perfectly fine. But when you play against really good teams, that doesn't really work ever. So I don't think with Robert you're ever going to go back to that style unless there's some strategic
Yeah.
aspect to it for a short period of time. But do you like the kind of style that's being played now more when you're playing against top teams, or still the older style was sometimes interesting too?
I like the way we're playing now. It's
Yeah.
great. It's a good system. The player, more importantly, the players buy into what we're doing, and with a wide, because we have so many players playing throughout
Yeah.
all of Europe. um, they all buy into the system pretty good, and they like the way Robert is coaching. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's a good system.
Yeah. It's much better to watch too.
Yeah,
And I think also it's never been a better time for to be a U.S. handball player, considering there are wild cards for World Championships in 25 and 27, and of course Olympics 28. And we don't know, maybe even in Egypt, wild card can be handy coming soon.
yeah,
So
sure.
what do you think are the biggest challenges for Team USA with what you have? Stay motivated and think when you get there, because right now sort of like the path is opening up for all these younger guys. I mean,
Yeah.
imagine you if you had that chance when you were at your age, when you're playing, said like, okay, I'm going to World Championship. How do these guys or Team USA uh, goes to these championships competing hard and maybe have a chance to win a game or two?
How do we? We're right there. Oops, excuse me. Phone is
Someone is
phone
calling you.
just no, my phone. You know how 20%. You have 20% battery left,
Oh, okay.
so I'm good. Uh, the question is, how do we compete to win one or two games, or did
Yeah,
I
I
get that
mean,
wrong?
ideally go there and win one game against a great team like Argentina did just a few years ago after many, many tries when
Yeah.
they beat Sweden,
Well,
I believe.
if we don't have a residency program, we don't have a lot of players coming together to stay for 6 months or traveling every so often. The way you do it is you get players placed in Europe that you have. I mean, I can't tell you what. I mean, I could tell you, hey, we should go recruit 17-year-olds that just graduated high school and find them an opportunity to develop. And yeah, we can get into that whole debate of what's better college after college, obviously. But I'm big on what do we have right now,
Hmm.
rather to develop or to put us in a good position. So right now we have a few players in the U.S. We have that could be placed, or if they were interested in being placed in Europe, and we also have a lot of dual citizens, that are being placed. Now you have Ty Reed, you have players like Michael Lee, and you have the Ian Hoyters, and you have the Domagoy Sursons. You have all these players that are now playing in high levels in different clubs, and I think it's important that whoever wants to play in Europe and whoever makes that decision to go over there and try to find a club, the U.S. supports them in the highest league they can play in. And there's programs like FHC that the higher they play, the better they get as far as handball wise, and the better the U.S. will. That's what we have right now. Now, are there other wishes and dreams that I wish we could do to make the U.S. better and have more reach with more players? Absolutely, like tryouts and all those kind of things to develop. Yes, but right now, what do we have? That's the question.
Yeah. And could one of those dreams be that all these guys who are in Europe, whether dual citizens or not, or the guys who are coming from here for those short terms to sort of develop into better players, what if all those guys form a team, play in any of those leagues, whether second, third, fourth league, but play in and out, live together, and spend an entire season or two together as one team? Do you think that could be even more interesting?
Like going through, it would be great. Like I said, that's one of those if questions that, like, if we could do this, if that was possible. But for example, let's say you take the Hoyter brothers.
Yeah,
One of them one of them might be married, and one of them might not be married. One of them. It's just, how do you get all of our best players together when people have things with life going on?
yeah,
Somebody might be finishing their doctorate and going to school. Someone might be pursuing other ways but still wants to play handball. And for them to get all together in France or whatever it is, it's like the the handball is great, but it's not the most important thing in life for every person or for any person. You have family and all those things. So not that it's impossible, but it's not likely,
Yeah.
just because people have lives, you know, and life goes on.
I completely agree on that, 100% actually. I mean, that's why during this time that I have so much time in my hand being at home, I was just thinking like, what is the greatest benefit reward that I got from handball? Um, just these connections, these life experiences that, especially in US, that make me happy. And that ultimately is the goal. But yeah, I wish I made money out of it, a lot of it, and not spend my money to keep it alive. But it is tough. But again, if we're having big visions, we definitely need a lot of resources to
Yeah.
really make sure that the people are involved, get the opportunity wherever they are to actually represent us in the highest level. So, but I
Yeah.
mean, there are a bunch of things I think they're happening right now.
Yeah.
So, do you think you will stay as an assistant coach?
Yeah. Well, my plan is to be with the U.S. as long as I can,
Mm-hmm.
and represent with the U.S. national team as long as I can. It's a privilege and an honor to be always be a part of the U.S. team. You know, I don't take it for granted at all. That's how I started playing handball. Really, as far as, I mean, I started in Miami with Christian Zaharia, and I trained there for 4 or 5 years without, like, 4 or 5 years with no, in Miami, and there's no other clubs around. You're putting in the work to drive back and forth, and you did a lot. He did a lot, and the club did a lot to grow the sport. So yeah, but I'm going to continue with the U.S. team as long as I can. I would love to see, as far as it in the U.S., the one thing that I think is would set stages for a lot of clubs is if clubs have their own gym. Not that they have to rent it out or anything like that. Any club that has their own facility would put them light years ahead of a lot of people. But you know, it's hard to come by. You know, I've seen plans from other clubs to say, hey, we're gonna build this gym and that, but it's a hard thing to do. But if it ever happens, I think it would be a gold mine
And
for clubs in the U.S.
yeah, I've in the last 13 years, I probably paid up to $200,000 in gym fees.
Yeah,
And it's one thing that bugs me so much. And plus, these gyms are half handball field, no goals. I have to
I
bring the folder goals. I have to put the tape on the floor every single practice, take them out. Some of them don't allow you to use glue. So
yeah,
like it's insane in that aspect. And yes,
yeah.
I wish I had a gym, dedicated
The
gym.
first club that has a gym that's theirs, that's for the community around. It could be in any city in the world.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great thing, and I think hopefully it'll lead to other clubs building their own gym and things like that. But that would, if I was living in the U.S., I would that would be one of my goals before my handball career is over, to have my own gym.
Yeah, there are many rooftops open in New York City. That would be great.
Yeah, yeah,
I mean, it's
that's
soccer fields, tennis courts, all of it is here.
yeah, yeah.
So
Absolutely.
going back to your, just quickly, is Christian Zaharia the guy who made you fall in love with handball, or no?
I Yeah, he's the one that brought me up. You know, he developed me all the way through. I can still hear his voice whenever I'm like coaching or playing or whatever. Like, look at the goal, look at the goal. You know, like every time you touch the ball, look at the goal. You know, so
Yeah.
I hear that all the time. Yeah, he was a huge part of me maturing as a player, and a lot of the things I do as a coach are still influenced by what he ingrained in me. So
Mm.
I appreciate that.
Well, you have a good memory of him telling you, look at the goal. I remember my coach telling me, like, Bini, stop dribbling, because as soon as you get off the court, I'll give you a ball. You can dribble all day long. Just like
Yeah.
in my head, it's like, okay, I can't dribble. I just need to move.
I dribbled between my legs once in one of my first games with Zaharia, and like, he calls a timeout. He's like, "What are you, Scottie Pippen?" I was
Yeah,
like, "Well, okay, no
yeah,
more dribbling."
that's the old school handball. Like, you do that, all of a sudden you're sitting on the bench for the next two games, and like, but what did I do? Well, remember
Yeah,
that two dribbles that you did? You're out.
yeah.
Yeah,
That's
that's a good old school handball. Anyways, I'm going to
cool.
ask you a couple of trivial questions. Who do you think is the
Sure.
best handball player in the world currently?
Ooh, in the world. Well, I got to respect Karabatic and the way he plays. And like, for me, having a big defender in the middle and coming straight down the court and having the best angle on the goal to shoot and being that big and having such the spacing of his steps, I like that style of play.
Yeah. What about the best goalie in the world?
Well, okay, so I was just in Montpellier, and I had a chance to meet man, he's from Croatia. I don't want to say his name wrong, but Gigu, what's his name? The first goalie from Croatia. I don't want to say. I can't look on my phone, but I appreciate him and his style of play as well.
Yeah, he was there when we were there too, right?
Yeah, he was there. You guys played against him.
Yeah, he's great.
We played against him. Yeah.
Who, in your opinion, is the best U.S. handballer of all time?
U.S. handball. Oh man, that's hard to say because I haven't seen. You can't see video of a lot of old players. You know.
Let's say the best handball player that you've seen in your
of our generation.
Yes.
Or of our generation.
Yeah.
Best handball player that I've seen. Man, you're gonna get me in trouble with this one.
Well, you gotta say it first.
Let me think here. Who did I see? Can I give a couple names? Can I throw a couple names out there?
You know what? I'm gonna make it easy for you. Make me the best starting lineup of U.S.
Oh no, I need more time for this one. Yeah, I'm not getting into this. Oh, for the U. No, I can't. I'm not getting into any.
You have 3 players. Do 3 players.
I would like in my past. I liked the way Vlado played as the pivot. I like the way Greg Inahara plays at the right wing and how he picked up the game.
Mm-hmm.
And let me think. I'm gonna just go with 2 for now, and then I'll think if I think of another one. If I think of another one while we're talking, then we'll go from there.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Funny you mentioned Vlado. You haven't seen him, but the dude is at the same weight and same physical preparation as he was in 2009 when he showed up in our club. I mean, he's been training, working hard. He looks good. He was pumped up for the nationals. And I actually asked him, talked to him earlier. I'm like, damn, man, you're ready for the Team USA. He's like, I'm ready for anything. So
yeah, he's been doing that construction business, or he's been just running and getting in shape.
I think construction is one, but also he's been staying in shape.
Those soy lattes that he's drinking, you know.
Hey, you're right. He's like one of the toughest, smartest, and smoothest pivots that we've had. Too bad that he's not involved anymore because he's still young, 32.
I like Vlado and just his style of play and how he played, and the fact that I like Greg that he started handball so late and what he was able to pick up. You know, the mental aspect of it, but also the way he just picked up the game. It was good.
I like Greg too. Too late. I mean, too bad he got injured at his peak, sort of.
Sure.
But anyway, so Mark, thank you for your time. I really appreciate it. I wish you good luck in Holland. I'm sure you're going to have a lot of fun, and it's another great experience. And if you have anything else to add or talk about, please let me know. We can continue. I know you have 2 kids at home. You got
little time.
Yeah,
it's nap time. Yeah, well, I'm sure we'll set up something for New York in Volendam. So I know you guys go to Lake Placid every year before nationals. It might turn out to be somewhere in Amsterdam one year. You know, so it's possible. It's cheap flights from New York to Amsterdam.
It could be cheaper than going to Lake Placid.
I think so. I think it could be. Yeah.
Hey, the only thing I'm afraid of my guys to be so close to Amsterdam. So.
Yeah, that could be a possibility.
Yeah. But still, it would be a great trip.
All
right. Thank you so much, Mark, and we'll stay in touch. Take care, man.
Bini. It was nice talking to you. Talk to you later.
Bye.
Bye.